everyone. We're going to have a great show today. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. My first guest has been on with me many, many times. I have with me Darcy Bergen. He is the owner of Bergen Financial Group. Today that we're going to talk a little bit about tax planning and estate planning. We're going to talk a little bit about Darcy and his new movie that he has coming out, and also his book that he has. We've done that as a giveaway here before, and we want to talk a little bit about first you, but also the movie.
Yeah.
And how does a movie come in with someone like you? This is awesome.
Well, you know, we did the mergers and acquisition movie last year, and this year we're executive producer on the Retirement Mountain. We've got, it's a documentary on retirement. We've got two really good people in the movie. We've got multiples, but two that I want to just mention. David Walker, he wrote the book Come Back America. He was the CPA for the government under Clinton and Bush.
Ooh.
So he's really interesting about taxes and where the government needs to go with money and spending. And then we have the author of the book, The Millionaire's Mind. A very famous book. So
yes.
we're excited to have him on there too. So it's going to be about a 75-minute movie, and we're gonna have it in Arizona in mid-August.
In mid-August. Congratulations on that. You also have a book that you're also an author of, and I want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, it's all about, that one's about Punch Your Retirement Passport. What do you need to get ready before you're entering retirement? The 5 pillars are part of that book. Estate planning, tax planning, income planning, investment planning, health planning. So you've got to kind of do it all. You can't just say I've got some stocks and bonds and an IRA. Or you'll pay more tax, you'll have less money. So you want to have everything working together.
Now, one thing that you do that you like to do is a 15-minute, it's a free, you call it a financial checkup.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little hard for somebody to call a financial planning company, book an appointment, go in, and a little intimidating, the big boardroom. And so we find that 15 minutes on the phone, you can uncover, ask questions, they can ask questions of us, and we can, in 15 minutes, kind of see, is there something we can really uncover and either save taxes or reduce their fees or reduce their risk and get them kind of ready for maybe the next step, which could be an appointment.
Do you do second opinions?
For sure, second opinions all the time.
Yeah.
What we're looking for in a second opinion is, are you paying too much fees? Are you paying too much tax? And are you at risk of something like the stock market or whatever?
Well, this year, of all years, it's a little bit crazy. How important is it for someone to get a second opinion right now?
Well, it's huge. If you're entering retirement or you're 3 years from retirement and you have 100% of your money in stocks, stock market's at a record high, bear markets come every couple of years, crashes come every 7, 8, 9 years. You don't want to have a stock market crash the year before you retire. So if you're close to retirement or in retirement, don't take that risk. You should have a strategic plan where you have some equities, some safe money, and have an income plan that says, where am I going to take my money from if the market crashed?
Now, the phone number to call you, it's 480-430-2337. He's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You're a fiduciary, very important also for people to know. He's looking out for you, and that's really important. You also have many offices throughout the state, but also in California as well. And call for a free financial checkup. I think this is really, really important. Also get that second opinion. This year of all years, so important. 480-430-2337. We want to talk a little bit about estate planning, which is something that we've never really talked about together. So let's talk about that.
It's very important. There's 2 kinds of wills. Everyone should have a will. It's pretty obvious. But one will is a public will. That's where you have to prove it in court. Your beneficiaries go to probate court, and that might take 18 months to go through court. That costs a lot of time and money. So a private will is one you find inside a trust, a revocable living trust. So if you don't like your children, put them through probate. Okay?
I'm sorry. I just started to...
Right? If you like your children, put them in a trust, and they don't need to go to court. They can just liquidate everything and split the assets as per the trust. But the problem with trusts is a lot of times a lawyer will say, we'll charge $5,000 for a trust, we'll put everything in the trust, and then parents pass away, and oh my gosh, the $1 million IRA is going through a trust and is all taxable. So your children or even your spouse, if that's the case, loses 35% of the IRA because they didn't have the beneficiary listed as a person. So most assets should go through the trust, but not money that grows tax deferred, like an IRA, like a 401k. Those eliminate probate by way of beneficiary. So some things should have a beneficiary to eliminate probate. Other things, other assets should go through the trust.
So let me just say this too. I think people should have those dusted off and taken out and taken a look at, because a lot of people do them from a long time ago and they think they're set.
Yeah, I mean, a second opinion comes in there, a 15-minute phone call, hey, I've got my trust, it was dated 1999. Well, there was no HIPAA in 1999.
Right.
You gotta get your medical powers of attorney redone, maybe change of beneficiary, maybe a trustee, a successor trustee. We not want that person as a trustee anymore, we need to change it. So a checkup on the trust is vital. And if you'd be surprised how many people where the lawyer said put everything in the trust, and it's just not the way it should be from a tax perspective.
I also want to talk about the fact that some people don't think of a financial advisor, someone that does estate planning as well, but you do. You have.
We're not going to give legal advice, but we're going to give common sense advice on beneficiaries and tax planning and what happens to an IRA when it goes through a trust. We have to know that we're an advisor. So a lot of times if your advisor works for a publicly traded company like Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, they're not going to be allowed to answer a tax question on estate planning test question. But because we're independent, we're trained in that sort of field.
Oh, I think it's important that you do have them involved no matter what, but have a second opinion, somebody who is looking out for you, making sure that you're not having stuff in there that really could be, you're going to be taxed on.
Yeah.
And some people just don't know, like you just said. I mean, if an attorney, they're not thinking of that. What do
the
they
attorney
think?
is thinking about probate.
Yeah.
And the accountant is doing a tax return. What an advisor does, financial advisor, says, let's take the best of both worlds and make sure everything's working together from a probate issue and from a tax issue.
Now, his phone number to call, it's 480-430-2337. He does free 15-minute, they call them financial checkups. I'm telling you now, too, for your estate plans, I think everybody who has one should get them out, make sure that they're done correctly, especially for tax purposes, right there. So important. He's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. And again, that phone number to call, it's 480-430-2337. Call, 15 minutes, you're going to know right then and there. Where do I stand? You know, I think you make everything super, super, super easy. Before we go to a break, what else do you want to say?
Well, the next topic we're going to talk to after the break is tax planning. And I've got a really interesting case I worked on this morning. And it really comes to light, it brings to light what most people think, and it's a misconception on how do I not pay tax.
I would love that. Doesn't everybody, when you hear that right there, okay, I'm tuning in, I'm going to stay tuned to listen how to not have to pay taxes, right? Now, again, the phone number is 480-430-2337. You can check him out on his website. It's retirewithdarcy.com, and he's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Hang tight, we're going to be back in just a minute, and we're going to talk a little bit about tax planning and how to not pay taxes as best you can. Again, that phone number to call him is 480-430-2337. You can check him out on his website. Again, it's retirewithdarcy.com. Again, he also has his movie coming out that is going to be coming out in late August, you said. It's Retirement Mountain. It's going to be, check that out too. Also his book, you can also check that out on the website as well. It's retirewithdarcy.com. Hang tight, we're going to be back in just a minute. We're going to keep on talking.
Yeah,
nice. Okay, and for what do you see that is the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to tax planning?
Well, they don't think about it. They just say, I'm going to take money from my IRA, I'm going to turn on Social Security, I'm going to liquidate some stock, and they don't think about the ramification. They don't think about how when you do one thing, it affects the other. So, I'll give you an example. If I retired at 65, married, and I had $1 million in stocks, some people think, well, if I sell, I'm going to pay tax. But you could sell $100,000 of capital gains and pay no tax at all. So they just don't understand that if I do the right amount, I'm not going to pay any tax.
And the only way they can figure that out is by having someone like you.
Yeah, I mean, we have the software to just punch in the number, and in 3
Right.
minutes we know what we can do. So we're going to talk in the next segment about a couple who came in and said, we don't want to pay tax on all this stock that we've done well on. I mean, in the last 5 years, the stock market's gone straight up, pretty much straight up. So, a lot of stock market gains. Well, if I don't sell, I don't pay tax. If I sell, the notion is I have to trigger the tax and pay, trigger the gain and pay the tax. But if you trigger the right amount, maybe you don't pay tax. So a lot of people think I've got to hold on to this stock even though maybe I don't like it. Maybe I think it's too risky, but I don't want to pay the tax. But if you trigger and crystallize the right amount of long-term capital gains, there is no tax.
I feel like people think that pay now, pay later, and they don't even really question it.
And that comes back to we don't know what we don't know, right? So if I'm retired and I think, well, if I touch my IRA, I'm going to have to pay tax. Not if you touch the right amount.
Again, it's all about the amount.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really comes down to the software.
Yep, and synergy of the right amount from each spot.
And what they have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you too with estate planning about putting things in there. Also, people have to be careful too, because as you get older, things happen. And I think I might have told you about my ex-mother-in-law who
Yes,
had that accident,
California.
and who, if that house wasn't in there, they could have gotten that,
Yeah.
and that would have been
Important.
terrible at her age too, because they would have, lost
Yeah.
almost everything, right?
Crazy.
Or everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So people have to be they have to really think. Like you said, they don't think about
Yeah.
it. Yes, you
Pardon?
liking it?
Yeah.
Okay. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Darcy Bergen. He's the owner of Bergen Financial Group, and we're talking a little bit we've been talking about estate planning, we've been talking about tax planning. He also has a second movie coming out in late August. It's called Retirement Mountain. His book, he also has a book that he's written, and you can check him out on his website, which is retirewithdarcy.com. He does free consultations. He's rated with the A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and he does free 15-minute financial checkups. He thinks it's just a great, perfect way for you to sit down and talk and get a real quick chat, see where you're at,
Yeah.
see if you're the right fit. And that phone number to call him, it's 480-430-2337. Again, that website is retirewithdarcy.com. Let's talk a little bit about tax planning, because we were talking a little bit at the break. And you said this morning you had a pretty neat something that you were dealing with.
Yeah, we dealt with
deal.
a couple that came in and they had some questions about we're retiring shortly and where do we get our $14,000 a month income that we need, and 4,000 or 5,000 of that was going to be Social Security. Well, if you have 5,000 a month Social Security only, you pay no income tax. But if you take money from an IRA or a pension and Social Security, it causes your provisional income to go up, and now you pay tax on both. But if you do the right amount, for example, we put a plan together for them where they're taking their Social Security of $5,000 a month, but now we're going to liquidate stocks that they've owned for years. They've gone up in value a tremendous amount. They're high risky now because they've gone up so much. And if we trigger or crystallize $10,000 a month of long-term capital gains, their tax bill is 4%. So can you imagine, what they were thinking is, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to pay tax on all these gains. Well, yes, if you sell them all today. But if we sell a little bit every month or every year under the 100,000 amount, or right around there, we're gonna pay very little tax at all. So sometimes people think if I sell that stock, I'm gonna have to pay tax on it. No, if you sell too much. So it's all about, doing the right thing at the right time. I had a gentleman come into our office and I said, "You're retired for a couple of years?" "Yes." "I haven't taken any money out of my IRA. I've just been living off savings." Oh my gosh. He's been in a zero tax bracket for 2 years and didn't do any Roth conversions. He could have converted money from his IRA to a tax-free Roth at almost no tax. But again, he didn't think about it. Or he could have crystallized long-term capital gains on stocks that have gone up and taken some risk off the table at no cost, no tax cost.
When you say that people don't think about it,
Yeah.
okay, these are people that don't realize that they probably should have a consultation with a financial advisor
It's
such
so.
as yourself.
I think sometimes it's just so easy to put money in the stock market yourself, and then it grows and it goes down, and you think, well, I'll just hold it, and they just think I can do it myself. But that's only part of it. They're not thinking about the tax side, the estate planning, the income planning. So I think you need a good advisor. I think you need an independent advisor, multidimensional, a fiduciary, if you want to call it that, to look at the other aspects of the plan, not just my stocks and bonds.
Right, and I would be very frightened if I had to pay a lot of money. And people, if they don't know, they're going to get hit with that bill.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, the IRA is interesting. Our CPA told us to buy 401k, and we did it. We didn't want to pay tax on it. And then we're retired, and we have this IRA, and when we touch it, it's taxable. But if we touch too much, it's taxable. The other thing is the government says we don't have to touch it legally until age 73. Well, that's the worst time. The worst time to touch your IRA is age 70, 71, 72, and 73 because you're taking Social Security at the same time. If you could touch your IRA when you're retired, just before you take Social Security, you're going to pay a whole lot less tax.
And that's what it's all about, knowing somebody who's going to make sure they're going to look at it. I think that's what everybody's different, I'm sure, right?
Every case is different, but the strategies are
the same. The same.
Yeah, and you know, 2026 is around the corner. January 1st of 2026, our current tax law expires. That means if Congress does what they're really good at, nothing, every tax bracket goes up on January 1st. You'll have people in the 12% bracket December 31st, wake up in the 25% bracket the next day.
The next day.
You'll have other people go from the 12 to 15. You'll have others go from 22 to 28. Now is the time to do tax planning because it's the lowest tax that we'll ever have, I think.
For a lot of people out there, when they start to turn 62, maybe they didn't take their Social Security yet, right? And they're turning 65, 60, whatever, and they have been waiting. Can you help people also with making that decision? Because I think that's probably one of the scariest.
Social Security timing is so important. Do I take it now? Do I take it later? Does my wife or husband take it now or later? If you're married, you've got two decisions, and they're compounding on each other. So the question is, when do we take it? And it's not just when do we take Social Security, the math on that. It's how do we take it and not pay tax? Or how do we take it and pay less tax? Or how do we take it and then also take money out of an IRA? So there's a lot of questions in there of when we take Social Security and timing. Carol, there's an estate planning class we're doing tonight, along with some Social Security little ideas with tax planning, but mostly estate planning tonight at Paradise Valley Community College at 6:30 till 9. Man, if you live in that area, go there at 6:30. You know, text me 480-430-2337 for the room number and stuff. But then tomorrow night at Maricopa County Glendale main campus, we're doing another class at 6:30. So, I mean, if you're listening to this broadcast and you want to save taxes and you want to know when to take Social Security, you want your estate planning, go to a free class. What a great way to learn.
Is that information on your website?
I think it is, but if they just text that number.
Because I couldn't write it down fast enough. So
I would just text my number and I'll get you the information.
Yeah, and the main thing is that I would have that 15-minute checkup. Yeah. That's the first thing. Give him a call. If you want to go to the classes, he can tell you where they are. Are we having a phone call right now? Okay, they're not, so they can call here. Also, we can get the information, so we can also get that to you. My board operator had a good idea. Thank you. So the number to call here is 602-277-5369. Call Darcy. This is my thing.
And let me say one last thing. On that class tonight, you got to remember Building Q at Paradise Valley Community College.
Oh, it's in Building Q?
32nd Street and Union Hills. Building Q is its own building. It used to be a library by the softball diamond. Building Q, there'll be signs tonight at 6:30.
Call Darcy. Have that 15-minute financial checkup. Find out kind of where we stand right there with everything, and then you can get the information from him. It's 480-430-2337, and you can check him out on his website, which is retirewithdarcy.com. either tonight, and then there's going to be another one tomorrow night
Yep.
too, and he can tell you the information about that as well. I had asked you during the break the number one mistake that you think that people make when it comes to tax planning. What was that?
Well, they just don't ask the question. They don't say, how can I do this from a tax perspective? Any decision financial you make, you should ask, what's the tax ramification, and is there a better alternative to that? And that's where you kind of maybe need a 10-minute or 15-minute phone call with an advisor, and in 15 minutes, you know the answer.
Phone number is 480-430-2337. Also, have a second opinion. Very, very important, especially this year. It's all about, for not just this year, anytime. If you don't,
Sure.
you don't want to have to pay taxes if you don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Right. I want to also talk to you a little bit about when it comes to Social Security. Excuse me. People also who are divorced, right?
Yep.
That's also another time. It's hard for people is
Yeah.
what to do.
Remember, when you're divorced, you can get your Social Security benefit or half of your ex's, whichever's greater. So if and then if you have two ex's, you can pick whichever one's the higher one, and if neither one of them are higher, get a third ex.
There you go. See, there's always a way, and that's the reason why you should talk to a financial advisor, because they're looking out for you, especially when it comes to all of this. Is all about you and your taxes, making sure that you're taken care of in your retirement years.
Yeah.
What would be your final words for everybody out there about all of this that we've been talking about for everyone to hear?
Well, there's a number of things. Right now in our economy, the stock markets are at record high. It's been at record high consistently. I always get nervous when we're at record highs. So I like to take some profits off the table. I like to have some investments that are going to have a really good high return but no risk, and I want to have others that are directly invested in the stock market. I think the right amount is based on age and income and when you're going to retire. So I would strategically look at that. And then, of course, taxes. It's already June. It's going to be December 31st soon, so we need to make sure our tax planning is done before December 31st.
And also get a second opinion too. Please, anybody out there that's listening, very important. 15-minute financial checkup, that's all it takes. And the phone number to call, it's 480-430-2337. You can call in here too if you want to. We'll get you connected with him. So if you want to go to one of his classes either tonight or tomorrow about estate planning, the number to call here is 602-277-5369. Also, you can call 8+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You can check him out on his website, which is retirewithdarcy.com, and it's all about saving money. Also, please, guys, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
So important. Again, call him for that free consultation. It's 15 minutes, and it's worth every minute. It's 480-430-2337. It's retirewithdarcy.com.